How you doing, everybody? Max Farrow here, Dex Trader. Listen, this is an intraday signal video on how to take the intraday signals here. The actual signal itself fires off depending between the top of the hour and 15 minutes after the hour. That's it. It doesn't fire off at the 30-minute or anything else. It only fires at the top or the 15. So that kind of helps you understand where you're at. You've already started to learn a little bit more of the inner workings of the intraday signal and to be able to utilize that. But now we're going to start focusing on how to start to apply it and double check and triple check it. Now, in most cases, you will have multiple signals that'll fire off at any one particular time. So the first thing you want to do when you're doing that, you want to isolate the ones that are really working well. Also, you have to make sure that you're trading in a non-news time. Okay, make sure that the news that is releasing, there's no news releasing at 11 o'clock. So we're about a half hour away from the last time news released, more than a half hour, more than an hour. So it looks like we're pretty good here at the 12 o'clock time. So let's get back over to the signal. The intraday signal firing off at 12:15, which is just a couple of minutes ago, should still be pretty active. Let's go have a look. I'm going to be using a demo account, so bear with me for a minute. Okay, so here's my demo account, and what I've done is that I've offset the page just a little bit because I know I'm going to be using the intraday signal. I'm going to be using the Audi JPY, as you can see right there, and for the 1 o'clock expiry. Now it'll say 11 to 1 because, as you already learned, that the intradays, really 1 hour trades, really are within a 2 hour time frame or a statement period. So we want to make sure that you're in the right one. So you're always using the expiry for 1 o'clock. So at the 1 o'clock period, you also now have to look at the price, 84.56. You probably already learned what the pip is on each one. So if not, then on a JPYs, it's to the second decimal point, and on everything else, it's to the fourth decimal point. Now, we got this down to 8456 on a buy, 8456. Here's 8457. That looks pretty good. Looks like we're running it like, since there's a lot of news happening prior to, there looks like we won't be able to get into this particular trade. But this will lead me into one of the second parts of doing intraday trades. You know that you can use working orders and or straight trade. So since we're going to be using a working order to test this out, we're going to click on the buy side or the bid side or the offer side here. And once we do, we're going to be putting in a contract price. Now remember, in doing a working order, you always want to keep an eye of the profit margin. So we want to make about $22 a profit. When we use an offer to do a working order, it is of what you want to risk, not of what you want to earn. So if you want to make 22, since everything needs to equal 100, you have to have a price of $78 in the component and make sure you have only one contract. When you place the order, what will happen down here is that it'll drop it down into your working order section after it says orders closed and received. If the price happens to drop down to $78, this particular working order will fill. Okay? Now, one of the things that I do even before I put on a, if I'm putting on a working order, because I know it has a high rate of success, that's one way. Okay? I can also look at the process under the DPC, and I can look to see how well the Audi JPY has done over the last 24 hours. Not so great, it looks like. And in this particular case, the best time frame to trade in is 97% in London time. So I may not want to keep that particular one on there because if it fills over the last week, it's only had about an 87% success. But listen, in this system, the intradays trade right through the news and all that success rate. So even trading through the news, it looks like it has done pretty well. So we just might leave that on, even though over the last day it hasn't done very well. Okay, so I'm not going to sit here and make you wait through the entire process of whether or not this is going to get on. So the two major ways we take an intraday trade is, one, we come in and we grab the straight trade. Okay, so if it's 84.57 or 84.56, we can come in and we can grab the, if it's a buy, it's on the offer side. If it's a sell, it's on the bid side. Now, if we were doing a working order on the actual bid side, if it was, let's say if it was a sell and we wanted to do a working order, let's say if it was up around this area, we would come in and put 1 as the contract size. And then for the price, the amount you want to make. So here would be $22. Since it has to equal 100, you can see your max loss is $78 right here. And that's how you put a working order on the intraday signal itself. Now, one of the other things that you have to keep in mind is that the intraday signals has a sell or a buy side. So when you have a sell happening, you might want to add maybe an extra pip to it, because the signals themselves, like we discussed in the previous videos, aren't using the Nadex indicative price, which is going to be different than your spot Forex. As you can kind of see, if I go to the chart system and I type the Audi JPY, you're going to see that it says 84.67 here, while on Nadex, it's a little bit higher, you see? So it's usually a 1% or 1 or 2 pips higher on Nadex than it is in spot Forex. The reason is that Nadex uses the indicative price that we've explained in the previous video. So the indicative price is an overall value of the last 25 prices with the 15 middle taken out and then averaged, and that'll give you usually about a pip and a half to 2 pips higher each time. Okay? So that's basically where we sit at right now. You can wait to this process, but listen, word of warning, only use a working order up to the last 15 minutes of the trade. So when this gets down to, once this gets down to 15 minutes, if this hasn't picked up yet, just go ahead and take it off. The rule of thumb is that usually within the last 15 minutes of an intraday trade, that you have the availability, that it might lose at that point, but you have the availability to take it off. As a word of caution, I say take it off. But if you want to keep them because the success rate's really high, keep it all the way up to the last second. I've had trades fill in the last 4 seconds and win, and no big deal, right? Even though it was going in an opposite direction, it picked up and it still didn't lose, but it got picked up right before the expiry would finish. So there is that, but it is more risk. So my word of warning is take it up for the last 15 minutes and don't have the extra risk. There's plenty of trades in the ocean here, okay? That's basically it for this intraday trade system. If you have any questions, please ask out in the trader chat room. I'm Max Farrow. This is DexTrader.com with taking an intraday working order and straight trade.